Good. All right, here we go. Yeah, sorry for that. 1.3 Sustainability. He who slaughters his cows today shall thirst for milk tomorrow. Muslim proverb. Sustainability. So, look, you're going to have to define the following. Page 33 for these. The sustainability, natural income, natural capital, environmental sustainability, social sustainability, economic sustainability. I kind of look at it is like sustainability has multiple parts to it. It's not just like, can you continue this forever? It's also with it, like there's an economic standpoint to it too. Because if it's not economically sustainable, it's not really sustainable. So before I forget, let me put a focus on this just so at work for an hour. Yeah, there we go. Just so I don't get any text messages that come up. All right. Natural income. That's how you have, money coming in from nature. Natural capital is almost like money you have in the bank. Think of like a forest. Like you're not harvesting it right now, but you could always harvest it for lumber, and sell that on off. Environmental sustainability is how long you can, like, if the nature like replenishes more than you're taking out. Social sustainability, is it like, does it help out society, or are people going to be starving or going impoverished? Economic sustainability, ooh, this is a good one, because just from being in the United States, if it's not economically sustainable, people probably aren't going to likely do it. So something is only sustainable if it doesn't use natural capital faster than it can be replenished to generate natural income. Think of it as a bank account. You've got to have more coming in than going out. So you got to be using less than what's coming in. I have to apologize too. A teacher's got a class going on right behind me. So if you hear anything, it's not me. It's a freshman class too. Might get a little salty. Must meet environmental, social, and economic needs. If it doesn't, it's non-sustainable. And it's not going to last. So the ultimate test of a moral society is the kind of world that it leaves to its children. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I think that's how you pronounce his name. We're going to roll with it. Hey, if you look at your parents and your grandparents, the mission is always to leave your kids in a better spot or better situation than you had. Why I bring this up is because we often think about this economically, but we don't think about it like environmentally as much. I think we need to focus on that a little bit more. Leaving the world a better place for your children, for your grandchildren, than you found it. So look up how the German pastor died, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, all right? It's got to be pretty rough if I'm asking you to do that. That could be actually interesting. It's Halloween time coming up. It's October here, so we'll see. All right, why sustainability? Different people have different views on what is sustainable development. I had a development recently by me that they were like Preserve Nod Road, and they were building on it. Is building really preserving? Not really in my book, but hey, it's all how you kind of define it, I guess. No right or wrong view. This isn't Disney, although that one I just gave you, I'm like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. There's only so much resources on Earth, and generally we are using it at an unsustainable rate. That means we have more going out, we're using more than the world can actually put in. So that's an issue, because it's not sustainable, won't last forever. Thought is that our societies and economies are growing at the expense of the environment, which is true. Think about fossil fuels. Think about how much they impact your life. How you got to school this morning, if you're on a school bus, was fossil fuels. Think about the food that you eat, how much of it is imported, how much of it was raised with a tractor, how much of it came with plastics that were produced from petroleum products. So, yeah, petroleum is really kind of what fuels and energy allows us to live the way we live, which is not all that sustainable. Environmental sustainability. Conserve biodiversity. Reduce or remove pollutants, avoid depleting resources, but save the whales isn't going to work unless there's money in it. So you have to almost like build in a value with conserving biodiversity. All right. You have to reduce or remove pollutants, obviously, and there's got to be there's I think what we do is there's fines for polluting, and that really keeps people from doing it. Maybe we can build in something to like indoor to for people, um, almost like aluminum cans. How you get like 5 to 10 cents for bringing them back. All right, to help reduce litter. Let's see, avoid depleting resources as well. So, you got to have a cash value on that. Social sustainability increases health programs, nutrition, skills, and knowledge. This is difficult because with increasing health programs, people are living longer. It affects how long people are going to be around for and just whatnot. And, and if longer people live, the more resources they consume. But at the same aspect, working on nutrition, you can do quite a bit for the world nutritionally, eating a little bit less meat, eating better. Skills and knowledge, passing that on. I've got a bunch of skills that were handed down to me from my grandfather and step-grandmother. I can go wild blueberry picking. When I was a kid, we used to go mushroom picking. I've lost that talent, though. I can tell you what berries are poisonous and which ones aren't. I can harvest maple syrup. I've got buddies that hunt, all this is skills and knowledge. Housing. If people aren't housed, they don't really care about the environment. The first, the rule is survival. Economic sustainability. Production of goods and services. Increased equity, good employment. Unfortunately, monetary value has taken precedence over value of nature. So yeah, let's look at that one. So when we look at economic sustainability, like we're a consumer nation. We produce a lot and we consume quite a bit. So, but we're always looking to increase equity, and this isn't just with gender or race in the United States. You almost got to look at it globally. What's the average income in a lower economic developed country or a developing country compared to the United States? I think you'd be pretty surprised. So we're earn quite a bit more in developed countries than we do in non-developed countries. Equitable? Probably not. Good employment opportunities. We have a lot more employment opportunities in the States than people do in developing countries. All right. Gross domestic. What does the above statement mean? Unfortunately, monetary value has taken the precedence over value over nature. It means that people care more about their income than they do about the environment. So, yep, that's what that means. Gross domestic product equals GDP. All right. This is important for environment, but it's also important for economics and even just your life. So, the great indicator of economic development. So, the amount of goods and services a country produces. So, let's take a look just for a second. USA GDP. All right. 25.44 trillion. All right. Let's look at Ecuador GDP. Oh man, they're playing some good beats over here. It's like some techno. All right. Ecuador's GDP is in the billions, 371 billion. All right. So we're 25 trillion for the United States. Ecuador is 371 billion. Quite a bit of a difference there. So, yep. All right, back to this. Just to show you a little bit of difference. It's not that I'm picking on Ecuador there. It's just that we're, I needed a country and that was a random one. So, great indicator. All right. The amount of goods and services a country produces. So, look, in the United States here, the goods that we produce is a lot of software. And we also have iPhones. That is another one that we produce, like iPhone, right? Other things we produce, social media, things like that. All right. Green GDP equals regular GDP subtracting biodiversity loss and cost of climate change. So yeah, let's check up green GDP. It doesn't really say. All right, well, we tried. I was looking for a quick answer. So, define renewable natural capital, page 35. Define non-renewable natural capital, page 35. I tend to look more at renewable. Hear me out on this, more from economics than like a hippie tree hugging thing. If you are looking to retire, you invest economically in slow growth, but steady, sustainable. All right. Now, a lot of those like quick stocks that'll get you like really rich, make a ton of money, crash. They're up and down. They're really jagged. They're more crooked than my teeth, you could say. Now, as far as I will take long-term steady growth versus, up and down, quick sales. So just the way it is. Give an example of each above if you can. Yep. Renewable natural capital, craft logging would be one. Only taking out the trees that you can replenish in a lifetime. Also, that way you don't flood the market so your logs are worth more. Yep. Smart idea. Non-renewable natural capital, clear-cut logging. Yep. All right. Sustainable development equals development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. So that's sustainable development. So making sure that, you're getting your needs met, but you're not, screwing over your grandkids. So Brundtland Report, 1987. Problem equals southern countries are poor and northern countries consume too much. I think when they're talking about this, they're talking about the hemispheres. So the northern hemisphere countries consume too much, and the southern countries are poor. So you got a lot of equity disparity there. The countries like South America, continents like South America, Africa, are generally poorer than, say, like North America, Europe, Asia. So, yep. Needs: reduce poverty, promote equity. All right, going off of more like social needs there. So, ecological overshoot. We've been using more natural capital than what the earth can reproduce since the 70s. This is what you could call an ecological overshoot. Kind of like drawing $200 from your bank every week and your job only puts in $100. How long is it going to take you to go broke? Not very long. So, Earth Overshoot Day. Estimate day of the year when a country or world has used all the natural income for the year. So in the USA, right now, it's 2024. We are using it in March 13th. If you look at Jamaica, it's December 20th. Yeah, go Jamaica. All right. Closer you get to the new year, the better you are. If you're China, June 2nd, not as good as Jamaica, still better than the United States, even with all those factories and stuff in China. All right, Global Earth Overshoot Day 2022 is July 28th. So, what is the Earth Overshoot Day this year that you're in? Yeah, figure that out. Problem. Let's go down here. All right. Problem. Some people, countries are consuming more than others. Yep. Look at the United States. We're consuming more than they are in the Dominican Republic. All right. Solutions are difficult because people cannot agree on what to do about it. Yeah. So you've got in the United States, we want to bring down consuming, but we like our bougie lifestyle. So there's tough cuts you got to make. What cuts are people willing to do and not do? And if the United States is going to fund other countries for sustainability, there's going to be accountability, which people have issues with. So, environmental justice. Define environmental justice, page 38. Ooh, I got to highlight that. My fault. All right. All right, I'll keep that green there. Oh, shoot. All right, I got to move this down. All right, we're going to highlight that and make it green. Good. Awesome. Define environmental justice, page 38. Distributive justice. Basically spread the risk and benefits of environmental exploitation. So if I've got a beautiful park by my house, but I've got mahogany wood, cabinets, that they had to clear cut a rainforest for, I don't really see it, but now it's like having it more like hit in effect. So that's what they're looking for. So problem. Big corporations that do business in multiple countries bully and exploit nations and governments. Some could say they even do it to the big governments too. Here in the United States, multinational corporations do quite a bit for lobbying. So money can make a lot of things happen for these corporations. They do quite a bit for ad campaigns. They buy votes, that sort of thing. All right. So examples. Notice that the landfill incinerator site by the 91 North in Hartford. This is more like where we live, by Hartford, Connecticut. So, yep. You notice that the incinerator and whatnot, is it in a rich town? No. It's in the poor section of a city, Land rights taken from native people, just from back in the day. In America, we took our land from the Native Americans. So different water and energy supplies. So yeah, depending on where you are is how you get your energy. All right, sustainable indicators. Sustainability plus environmental justice can be an individual person all the way up to multiple government working together. So you can do it on just yourself. For sustainability, your choice of recycling or not recycling, what you buy or what you don't buy, like environmental consumerism is huge. You have quite a bit of power with what you decide to purchase. If you don't purchase something because you're making an environmental stand, companies will listen because they care about this. So, example, individually, I hand dry my clothes and don't use a dryer. I had a girlfriend back in the day tell me that my black hoodie was going to get like less poppy black and it's going to be more like just kind of ashy black, like subdued, if I used a dryer. So I stopped using a dryer for the black hoodie and all my black clothing, and then I just stopped using the dryer altogether. I, hand dry it, and it saves me quite a bit of money on my electrical bill. So, and it's good for the environment. Example, the United Nations getting together to make the Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah. The Sustainable Development Goals are nice. I wish there was something to really enforce them. Like I need some consequences if they're not met, and I need them to be specific. So, all right. Ecological footprint. All right. Define ecological footprint, EF, page 35. It's basically your impact on the world. So define carrying capacity. Ooh, that's a term they use a lot in this course. Carrying capacity is the amount of a species a habitat can have. So the carrying capacity for our school is 700 students, 100 students per grade. All right. Can't go over that. If you're that 701st student, you're going to get left out. So define biocapacity. Biocapacity is not used as much as carrying capacity, but still enough. All right. Ecological footprint is a model that estimates the demand humans put on the environment. Area needed to produce all the resources needed and deal with the waste. When EF is greater than the area available, then it is unsustainable. So if your ecological footprint is greater than the area available, non-sustainable. Sorry, you know. Then when a crop exceeds the carrying capacity, then it's unsustainable. So, yep. Yep. So if you've got, 1,000, pieces of corn in an acre, and the acre can only hold 800, 200 of those are not going to make it. Ecological footprint is greater than the carrying capacity, then unsustainable. Relate carrying capacity to deer being hit by cars. Ooh, nice. When deer exceed the carrying capacity, the likelihood of them hitting a car is greater because they've got more than the environment can handle. They're jumping around all over the place, including roads. Relate carrying capacity to deer starvation in eating arbor vitae. Arbor vitae is a tree. Let me do it right here. Arbor vitae. Plant. Yeah, well, they say plant, but it's really like a tree. All right. It's these things right here. They love planting them in suburbs. The only problem is deer look at those as a buffet. They're just like, they go right down the line and eat them all, especially during the winter. So don't plant arbor vitae. At least be very careful if you're in an area that has deer. If not sure what the arbor vitae are, look them up. I did that for you. So deer capacity carrying capacity is exceeded. Deer will start to starve. Deer that starve are going to go after your arbor vitae that you planted. Ecological footprints are different for each country and depend on lifestyle choices. Again, America, bougie lifestyle. It comes at the expense of the environment. Food production systems. Ecological footprint, we tend to do monocultures here in the United States. Not as good. All right. Yeah, great for profits and really getting the most out of your land, but long term, probably not great for it. So, industry and land use for ecological footprints as well. How you use your land that you have. So, ecological footprint scale is visual, easy to comprehend. So, anything that's visual tends to be 80% of the world is visual learners, 20% is auditory learners. So anything that's more visual, easily to understand. Other scales include carbon footprint, water footprint. Carrying capacity and ecological footprint are two different measurements and viewpoints. Carrying capacity is how many students can our school grounds, 33 acres, support. Ecological footprint, how big of a building land does a school have to be to support 700 students? So by the way, those numbers are correct. We are 33 acres at our school, and we are 700 students. So 1961, the ecological footprint was 0.72 global hectares per person. Biocapacity was within sustainable limits. 2018 was 2.8 global hectares per person. It would take 21 months to regenerate 1 year of resources used. Since the 1970s, we have lived in ecological overshoot, basically using more than the earth can replenish. So, yeah, that's an issue. Again, too much going out, not enough going in. So, all right, let's take a look here. Data-based questions. Oh, I'm going to have to minimize myself here. All right, let's see how we do this. Movie recording. I'll put me off to the side, kind of like this. Very off to the side. All right. Database questions. Ecological footprint. Dotted line. Biocapacity. Straight line. Slash line is going to be your carbon footprint. So it looks like global hectares per person. Carbon footprint. Been going generally up. Since 1961, so for the last 60 years, from 1 to 1.5, a little bit above that now. All right, really jumped from 61 to 1980. The 1980, we've just been trudging along. We're just doing good until the 2000s. Now we're going up again. All right, ecological footprint. somewhere around 2.3 up to 2.9, it looks like, at a high. Now we're in our 2.8 range here. All right, so that's relatively being sustained. That's being sustained. We should drop both those, though. Biocapacity, though, is dropping like my mixtape. All right, it's just dropping like a rock. It started high, biocapacity, 1961. Now we're down to 1.5. So we've decreased by 50%. All right, so questions here we're going to answer. Study figure 9, a graph from the GFN organization in WWF Living Planet Report 2022. Explain why biocapacity has fallen, but global EF remained about the same. All right. Ecological footprint remained about the same because we're using a lot more lands. So, yeah, for A. All right. Habitat loss. We're consuming quite a bit of habitat. Anything that's a natural forest around us, we're just knocking down to make houses, new buildings, new stores, whatever. B, list resources for the uneven distribution of natural resources across the earth. All right. Climate. All right. Yeah. So when you look, we get quite a bit of rain here in the eastern United States because of that we have forest. All right. We have a lot more resources than other people do. Say in a desert land, we have the soil we have is a lot richer for growing. We have a temperate climate with a good growing season. So, yep, that's the answer for B. List reasons for the uneven consumption of natural resources. Because some countries, United States, be living that bougie lifestyle, that extravagant lifestyle for C. All right. Explain how some countries increase their carrying capacity by importing food. Describe the change in carbon footprint from 1961 to 2022. Carbon footprint went from 1 to 1.5. So, yep, it went up specifically from 1961 to 1980s, and then stayed stable from 1980 to 2000, and then from 2000 it's been going up generally gradually. So I explain why this has risen slightly. More electricity use in the last 20 years. All right. Looking down here. Oh, yeah, it's all that down there. Good. So let's take a look at sustainable models right here. Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. All right. Planetary boundaries, donut economic model, circular economy. Let's bring this out a little bit too, and let's make my face a little bigger. So SDGs are the hot thing to use right now. Sustainable Development Goals. My wife, who teaches Spanish in West Hartford, they are, for juniors and seniors, they're learning about these as well, even though it's a Spanish class. Why? Because it's got international effect. What you do in your country will affect countries will affect Spain, will affect Ecuador, will affect Dominican Republic, will affect Chile, will affect the Philippines. So planetary boundaries model, donut economic model, will get into circular economy. Like all models, oversimplified versions of reality. So the models help break it down so you can understand it, but because of that, they're not going to take into account everything, and they're going to be oversimplified, which is a problem or a negative of them. Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals made by the UN. Assessed each year from 2015 to 2030 or beyond. Successor to the Millennium Development Goals, which expired in 2015. Yep. MDGs only for low and middle income countries. Yeah. Low and middle income. So any of those bougie lifestyle countries didn't have them. So, all right. Goal 1, eradicate extreme poverty. All right. Goal 2, achieve universal primary education. Put this in your own words. Basically, everybody in the world should get an elementary school education. Or, if you're an IB language, primary year education. All right, goal 3, promote gender equality and empower women. Yep. Reason why is because when women earn their own money, just on a personal standpoint, when women earn their own money, they have the ability to have more freedom and power. And if you truly want somebody to achieve their maximum ability, they need to have power over their future and what they have and what they can and cannot do. So, gender equality and empowering women is huge if you want your society to achieve its maximum. So, otherwise, you're taking half your population and just wasting it away. So, yeah, their abilities. So, all right, promote, reduce child mortality, improve maternal health, combat HIV/AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. We just put diseases there. Not to minimize HIV and AIDS or malaria, but getting rid of diseases makes people live longer. Ensure environmental sustainability. Develop a global partnership for development. No need to note this. I had to look Goal 8 up, and what I got from it is basically all government organizations, businesses, and people working together to make sure new buildings, construction plans, etc. are for the best of all globally. So, yeah, when you put up like a new house, you got to make sure it's for the best of people globally, not just you, like putting up that mansion. For each of the MDG goals, state whether you feel the goal was adequately achieved or not, and why in one sentence. So, do you believe that we eradicated extreme poverty? All right. For all of those, do you believe Goal 7, ensure environmental sustainability? Do you believe we did that? All right. TOK, to what extent do governments have the responsibility to take steps to safeguard the environment and protect humans from suffering? Support your belief with examples. All right, so we just had a hurricane in North Carolina hit. Hurricane Helen. All right. I could probably just put Hurricane Helen. Bang. All right. These are the images of it. All right, there's a map of it right there. Here's how it came up. North Carolina is an area that does not usually get hit by these. To what extent is it the government's responsibility to make sure, A, this doesn't happen, and probably more likely is what's the government's responsibility for coming in and helping people after it does. So, yep. All right. Success from the book, 50% reduction in poverty. All right, cool. That's pretty good, actually. Gender disparity reduced. All right, I wish there were some numbers with it, but hey, I'll take it if they say it. More potable water. That is a good thing. More drinkable water means less diseases. 21 million lives saved. That's good. All right. More progress with LICs than MICs. Poorer countries did better. Yeah. Poorer countries did better with this than MICs. MICs, you just get a little bit too comfortable, you know. So, 2008 economic crisis reduced funding. MDGs were made richer. MDGs were made by richer countries, not poorer countries. So that's something to keep in mind. Your Millennium Development Goals were made by rich countries, not poor countries. So, back to Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Let's bring this down here. 17 goals for your SDGs. Each goal has 8 to 12 steps. Each target has 1 to 4 indicators to measure progress. Notes on Sustainable Development Goals. Extreme poverty equals living on less than 2.15 US dollars per day, United States dollars. So that means you have to, let's have some fun with this. Let's put that US dollar sign right up there. Good. Extreme poverty means you're living on less than $2.15 per day. I couldn't live off that, I don't think. No, there's no way I could in the United States. Couldn't get housing, couldn't get electricity, like energy, couldn't get fuel, couldn't get food. Nope. $2.15, no way. 9% of the global population, though, does live off that. Most in South Asia or sub-Saharan Africa. So, yep. 1 of 9 people are malnourished, mostly LICs. You know what's crazy about this? Going back up here, though, sub-Saharan Africa. And, you know, there's not a lot of industry there either. And that's the part that's crazy to me, is because from a business point of view, that's a market that you could have for labor that's not going to cost you a whole lot, you know? And it amazes me that we don't have it. So, healthcare, life expectancy is improving. Good progress in primary education and reducing education discrimination. So, yep, it's for making sure that ladies get the same education that men get, and then making sure rural communities get the same education that cities get. Empowering women is generally improving. Limited clean water for 2.2 billion peeps. Progress on clean electricity, but millions without electricity at all. So, yep, as those people start getting electricity, we're going to have to really put some funding in to make sure it's clean electricity. Economic growth is decent, but with exploitation of youth. With one of the things about lithium batteries is how they get it and how it kind of really supports child labor. Still need to do it with less of a carbon footprint. Sorry, peeps. My nose is just itchy. 53% of global population uses the internet. Hey, that could be a good thing. You know, I think anyway. All right. Reducing discrimination, inequalities with minorities, disabilities has mixed results. Ooh, okay. 3.9 billion peeps globally live in cities. 25% of them in slums. Yeah. So a quarter of the people living in cities live in slums. So reducing plastic waste, increasing recycling, removing fossil fuel subsidies are happening. We're starting to make some steps in the right direction. We need to do a little bit more of it. Severe weather events happening more. Vulnerable peeps suffer more. Hey, yep, back to Hurricane Helen right here. Yep, let's go down, see some nasty images. Yep, that was a street. Now you got looks like a truck driving in it, but yep. The guy right there is bumming. He probably said his house washed out. All right. I think it's up to 130 people dead with Helen, by the way. All right. Severe weather. Reducing illegal fishing is key, but 3 million peeps rely on the oceans for money. So, and not just money, even like whole countries rely on fishing for their food. When you look at the Philippines, when you look at Japan, you look at a lot of countries in Asia, they rely on the Pacific Ocean and fishing. If they don't get fish, their population does not eat. If they don't eat, they starve. If they starve, they tend to rebel and overthrow the government. So you got to make sure that sustainability of people will always take precedent over fishing, you know, but you got to make sure the fishing is there for you in the future as well. Big fights over fishing waters. All right. Deforestation, desertification, increased biodiversity loss, poaching and illegal logging. Yep, those two right there, taking more than you can sustain, you know, just for short-term wealth. Species extinction is increasing as well. So biodiversity is reducing. Reducing violence, abuse, exploitation, crime, corruption are goals. All right, because just for efficiency, you can't have those. International corporations, not cooperation, not competition, is key to achieving SDGs. If we don't work together globally, They will not happen. If we're competing against each other instead of working together, bad things happen. Uses of SDGs. Global agenda governments can use politically against challengers. Yeah. You can bring up somebody's track record environmentally. How bad have they been to the environment if you're going for political office? So, yep. All right, let's get, where was I? All right, goals are the same no matter LICs or MICs. If you're a low economic country or a middle income country. So, goals are not legally binding and allow countries to address their needs, desires. This can be good or bad. Do you agree or disagree with the above statement and why? I can tell you why I disagree with it, but I can hear you out with agreeing with it. It makes ending poverty possible. Limitations of the SDGs. Goals don't go far fast enough. All right, they're just like a little start, but we congratulate ourselves on them. Still top down, meaning that they come from the top countries in power, the countries with money, not the countries that are poor. Hard to address local problems while working internationally. So, when you're looking at big problems, it's hard to address the little problems that come up. Lack of reliable data. Goals aren't binding. So you can commit to all these goals. How many of them will they actually achieve? Figuring out how GDP works in with inequalities and sustainability. Some have a feeling that changing what we do is too difficult to achieve. Tragedy of the commons. When too many people think about their own benefit versus the benefit of society. So there's a saying, when things are good, they're good for everybody. So keep that in mind business-wise. Need to put an economic value on natural resources. Makes sense. The average person today is living better than any other time in history. So think about that. You with your lifestyle right now, you're probably living better than your ancestors did, your grandparents did, your grandparents over 100 years ago. So need to put an economic value on natural resources. The average we did that. Let's go right up here. The planetary boundaries model, developed in 2009 by Johan Rockström and 28 other scientists. 9 key processes that regulate our world. Set up like a pie. Internal boundaries equals safe operating space. Humanity can develop and thrive for generations. Crossing these boundaries increases risk of environmental change. New models are established every year, kind of like a traffic light. Green is good, yellow is a warning, orange, red is danger. So, answer the question, up to what limit will the Earth system be able to absorb human activities without compromising? I think this one's going to be... Let's make this one blue. Good. All right. I think this is one where I'm going to make myself small again. Put myself off to the side. Good. Up to what limits will the Earth system be able to absorb human activities without compromising the living conditions of a species? All right. Don't copy the model, but take a good look at it and understand it. Novel entities equals chemical pollution. All right. So, biosphere integrity. We're well beyond it. Yep. Novel entities, chemical pollution. Not yet quantified, but hey, you know what? We haven't bypassed it so far. Strategic ozone depletion, we're within normal limits. Aerosol loading, not yet qualified. Ocean acidification, we're below it. Biochemical flows, beyond the boundary, high risk. All right. Fresh water use, we're below it, safe. Land change system. We're in a warning zone, in zone of uncertainty. Good. Biosphere integrity. Good. All right, here we go. Uses of planetary boundary model. Identify science-based limits of human impact on Earth. Goes into more than climate change. Alerts peeps to the need for action. Limitations of the planetary boundaries model. Focuses only ecology and not on human dimension necessary for positive action. Work in progress. It's a global guide, not a local guide. So it's focusing more globally than it is like on your county or town level. The donut economic model. Let's see where we're at with this. Basically, an economy that meets both people and planetary needs. Define regenerative design, page 51, and define distributive design, probably page 51 too. Look at this image, but no need to copy it down. Yep, there's 2 rings. All right, there is the social foundation and ecological ceiling. So the social foundation looks out for peeps and their well-being. The ecological ceiling looks out for the planet's well-being. The space between the 2 rings is where we want to be, right? The safe and just space for humanity. If we go below this or outside of this, shortfall or overshoot, it's when we're doing bad, all right? So, yep. Ecological ceiling is based on planetary boundary science. So that's for this one here, this ring. The problem equals many people have shortfall of their needs and overshoot planetary boundaries. So you got people like me, we're overshooting in the United States. And then we got other people in LICs, low income countries, shortfalling it. They don't have food, they don't have drinkable water, they don't have housing. So goal, move economy into the donut and meet both humanity's and planetary's needs sustainably. Solution, economies move forward towards a regenerative and distributive design. So, yep. Uses of the donut economic model. Supports environmental justice, reached popular awareness, used at different levels. I tend to favor it, by the way. Supports action on sustainability. Limitations of the donut economic model. It's a work in progress, bro. Like, we're just figuring this stuff out. It won't work if peeps are comparing wealth. So, yeah, sorry, we've got more in our country than others. Broad, unspecific, regenerative, and distributive practices. You need something very objective, numbers that don't lie. No specific policies. So, yeah, you need like ideas on how to generate and do better. All right, circular economy model. Let's bring my face down here. Good. Our linear economy is based off take, make, use, and dispose. Yep. Take it. Actually, we're more like make it, take it, use it, get rid of it. All right. Circular economy is based off of take, make, use, reuse, repair, or remake, remove waste, regenerate natural systems. My clothing is actually much like this from Patagonia. Circular economy is based off 3 principles. First, eliminate waste pollution. So linear economy uses a material, then discards it. The circular economy uses a material, then reuses it, the material again. Examples are soda bottles. Linear economy uses them, trashes them, all right, or recycles, which breaks it down. Circular economy would reuse the bottle for soda. They do this with beer bottles in Germany, from what I've seen. Yeah, you buy beer at a store. It comes in a glass bottle. You drink it, and then you bring the bottle back to the store, and they will wash the bottle out and refill it with beer and then sell it to the next person. So, second equals circulate products, materials at their highest value. Butterfly model shows both technical and biological cycles. So, you see how just the cycles go with this? No need to copy page 53 in the book, though. So you're always like trying to cycle like your technology and your food. So pretty cool. Technical cycles, most efficient to reuse, maintain. Biological cycles, food waste is composted to regenerate better soil, which we're doing here at school. So, third equals regenerative nature, shift from extraction to regeneration. Think of hunting for a mahogany tree versus planting one and harvesting it later. Tree farms. So, nature waste nothing. Waste is a human concept. So, yep, keep that in mind a little bit. Use of circular economy model regenerates nature, less greenhouse gases, more local, reduces waste by having things last longer, changes consumer habits, limitations of the circular economy model, lack of environmental awareness from consumers. All right. Ain't nobody enforcing recycling. So some waste is not recyclable or recyclable to different degrees. Aluminum tends to be the best from what I've heard. I like kind of glass too, but I bet you it uses quite a bit of carbon to melt it down. All right. Impact of deforestation on the water cycle. Questions here. State one storage of fresh water not shown above. State one input of water into the atmosphere not shown above. The reason they do that is just to show the limitations of models. Describe the positive feedback mechanism by which deforestation may decrease the availability of water in certain regions, and evaluate the role of reforestation in the mitigation of climate change. This should take you probably about better part of an hour, these 4 questions. All right, so do not go through, do not rush them. Take your time. All right. These are important. Thank you.